Hi everyone, welcome to Dublin Tech Talks, the new normal. As you know from the meetups, we always like to give companies with a strong sense of social purpose a chance to tell their story. I'm joined today by Adam Hankin, who's General Manager in Ireland for Wagestream. Adam, thanks for joining us today. How are you keeping?
Great, thanks for having me on. This is definitely broken up the daily routine. Managed to get the house to myself for about an hour.
Yeah, silence is a premium these days, right?
Isn't it just?
So I've seen a bit online in terms of what you're trying to do. I mentioned the company has a strong social purpose and strong mission, but you just want to tell us a little bit about Wagestream, how it came about, and what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so I guess Wagestream, we're an app, and we allow workers to access their wages, their earned wages, whenever they want. So we're kind of revolutionizing the way that people are paid. We're almost scrapping the idea of a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly payroll, and saying that if you have earned wages, you've worked 10 days of the month and you want to access some of them, why shouldn't you be able to? So we give that access to employees to do it, and it stops them from accessing costly debt, things like overdraft credit cards, payday loans, all of those things. So we're set up for social good. Our aim is to improve people's financial health, and yeah, it's an interesting space.
Why is it that because if you go back historically, I guess people were paid for the work they did almost in real time, cash in the hand, the coins in the palm. So why have these payment cycles evolved, and why do you guys feel that it's just not suitable for modern life?
It's the one thing that hasn't changed in our lifetime. Nothing has actually changed in the pay, the way that we are paid.
Yeah.
100 years ago, you used to queue up and get your cash in hand every week, exactly. Or in some cases, it might be every single day. Most people in Ireland, are paid every month, monthly, and if you think of the modern day that we live in, everything is kind of how can we make things faster, more on demand, and pay's actually regressed to the point it's 4 times slower in 100 years. And I don't know anything in our life that has got 4 times slower in 100 years. So yeah, it was ripe for some kind of disruption. The reason why a monthly payroll exists is because it's easier for businesses to run a monthly payroll. It's less intensive. It's less stress on the cash flow. Less work to do. It's cheaper. And even these days, we deal with a lot of businesses looking to move from a weekly to a monthly payroll. So even if they are on a weekly payroll, they're trying to find a way to get off it into a monthly payroll. So businesses are not pushing to improve that kind of cash flow scenario for employees. They're actually looking to push it out to a month.
And then I guess with that in mind, companies are always looking, as you say, to optimize, improve efficiencies, hence the move to longer pay cycles, reduce the demand on resources. So with that in mind, how easy is it for someone to roll out your platform? Do they need to change their processes, their back office processes, their bank processes, or is it more straightforward?
We try to make it as straightforward as possible. So in terms of messing up with the payroll, we don't mess up with the payroll system at all. A lot of people think that we would have to do some kind of integration there. The integration is more so, if we tie up with a company that has hourly or shift workers, and we tie in with the time and attendance software, we'll do a tech integration with them so we can see what hours people have worked. In a salaried environment, it's really easy. It's kind of spreadsheets. Now, there is one element at the back end, which I don't want to get too technical on this, but essentially we set up a new banking infrastructure in between the employer and the employee, with all the money just flows through. So in real basic terms, the only thing that the payroll department have to do is just change the account number that money goes into. We create an account for every employee, and the money just flows through it into their normal account. So the payroll department might have to change a bank account number, the same as if I walked into my work tomorrow and said, look, I want all my wages to get paid into my Revolut account. It's that kind of stuff.
Okay. But I guess it's for each customer installation or consultation, there's an element of bespoking each solution, right? So you'll enter into deep discussions with the customer about what will work best for them.
Yeah, look, I think we're at about 80, 90 businesses signed up now, and I don't think anybody's got the same processes in terms of how they pay, time and attendance, payroll, all of those things. So it's probably I think we'd like it to be a bit more one size fits all. There is a bit more work on our end to get all of that information right, but we try not to put the work on the actual business that's taken on Wagestream for their employees.
Okay, so we'll probably come back a little bit and talk about the benefits to businesses, you know, beyond just you know, offering something nice and flexible to the workforce. I know that you've got a lot of stats and data. We'll cover that off maybe when we talk about data later. But from a high level, from an individual's perspective, what's the benefits for having a solution like this available to them?
The big thing is it puts them back in control of their finances. So there's a scary stat out there that 55% of households can't afford a €250 unplanned expense at the end of a pay cycle. So people just don't have a rainy day fund. They're living to the edge of their means. So when the car breaks down 5 days from payday, what people are generally having to do is they're going into their overdraft, credit card, or getting a short-term high-interest loan. So we see that as entirely unjust. You know, if you've worked 25 days of the month and you're on a monthly pay cycle, you know, you've earned 25 days wages. You know, why should you get yourself into debt when you've already earned that money? So we let people access that. So it prevents them having to access those costly forms of credit. And the problem with those forms of credit, a lot of people don't seem to worry about going into their overdraft or credit card. We have a culture now where it seems like it's just normal to be in your credit card or overdraft on a regular basis. But those charges are ramping up and ramping up and ramping up. And to the point where, you know, in the UK, most of the banks are going up to nearly 40% APR on overdraft.
Wow.
All the credit cards are around 22, 23%. And, you know, I had it was a €1,000 credit card bill just before Christmas that I had to pay off. And I went to have a look, and at the very bottom of the credit card statement, it tells you how long it will take you to pay off that credit card if you only pay off the minimum. So it was €1,050, and I think it was the minimum payment was like €22 or something like that. And it said that if I only paid off the minimum, it wouldn't be paid off until 2037.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's funny you say that. I think there's definitely a trend, and we'll come on to the kind of the worker or individual profile in a second. There's definitely a trend that people are treating overdrafts and credit cards like that on-demand, you know, kind of income stream for them. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it just gets you into a cycle of debt that you just never realize. Like I would consider myself financially literate. I'm in the financial well-being space, and I always knew it'd be a bad idea to only pay off the minimum amount on a credit card, but I never for the life of me thought it would take 18 years.
For €1,000. Yeah. No, it's crazy. So just, I guess, I can see how this type of service would lend itself really, really well to kind of hourly paid workers or shift workers or transient workers. But it applies equally, I guess, to, you know, middle, high income salaried people. You know, that is the logic there, just that, you know, the more you earn, the older you are, the bigger your debts are, the more kind of pressure is on financially. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a misconception when we go to businesses and they think, oh, this is only for, you know, frontline hospitality workers, you know, bar staff, restaurant staff, this type of thing. And yes, they are a big user of our service, and the hospitality industry has been one of the fastest industries to take on this new concept. But you know, we did our own study. We got Empathy Research to do a study in Ireland, and the most stressed cohort of people are 35 to 45-year-olds. They're the people most likely to get into debt on a regular basis in any given month. And I can attest to that. You know, like I'm 39 this year, and you know, I've got 2 kids now. Before this all happened, COVID lands, you know, I had 2 kids that were going to creche. Yeah. We bought a bigger house to put the kids into, and you know, your expenses do go up. And you know, I know I've got less disposable income now than I did when I was 22-year-old, running around Dublin, going drinking every night. But
so. And then is it difficult to change that perception, or are people like, how are you delivering that message? Is it through data and stats? And I know you've mentioned that you are part funded by some social charities, right? So you have third-party independent data that backs up all of these messages, right?
Yeah. So look, I guess the big question to ask any business is, do you know the financial health of your workforce? And the answer is a resounding no.
Yeah.
Very few businesses have actually gone out and asked their employees, you know, how are you about your finance? How do you feel about your finances? Are you stressed about them? You know, are you in too much debt? Do you want help with them? Like, financial well-being is kind of a hot topic, and financial well-being was kind of forgotten about. And then now you find a lot of these businesses are now looking very seriously at financial well-being, because all the studies are saying that financial stress is the biggest stressor in the workplace. So it causes absenteeism. And I think more importantly, actually people spend time in work trying to sort out their finances. So the productivity
100%.
drops.
Yeah.
So businesses are now looking at this going, oh man, we need to sort this out. So they are a lot more receptive to it. And, you know, I generally ask the question, can you ever imagine a scenario that has come up in your own life where you would have needed to access your wages just a little bit early, or that would have been helpful to you? You wouldn't have had to go into your credit card or overdraft. And we've all done it. It might be flights, it might be concert tickets, it could be Christmas presents that, you know, we think, oh, that's fine, I'll stick that on the credit card. But, you know, having that available to you, everybody can think of a scenario when it would help.
And then, so that kind of leads into, you know, apart from just offering, you know, another string to the wellness bow from a you know, an employee benefits perspective, what are the real knock-on benefits for an employer in terms of how the staff are engaged or retained? Or do you have data, you know, that backs that up?
Yeah, so we're very data led as a business, and we actually get loads of data back through, say, the integration with the time and attendance software. We get tons of data back there. So the first thing that really happens is that we see an instant drop in staff turnover. You know, now in the especially high staff turnover categories like hospitality, I mentioned again, hospitality and retail, you know, staff turnover is very high.
Yeah.
We can see instantly there's a drop in staff turnover from that. So we are actually that confident about it that we'll pretty much guarantee with any industry that you'll see a 10% reduction in staff turnover.
Wow.
So we've got some pub groups with over 10,000 staff in the UK, and, you know, they've seen 16% a drop in staff turnover. So people see this, it's a benefit that once they have, they don't want to leave. They feel less stressed. Because they feel less stressed, they actually enjoy work more and all of these other things. They're more loyal to you as a business. They actually really thank the people that have put Wagestream in, because they go, you know, this is great. You've actually given me something that I would never have imagined was even available. So loyalty goes up, engagement goes up, and all of those things. The next thing that improves is in that hourly shift work environment is people work more hours or more shifts.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And we've got this tracking function in the app where you can see on a daily basis how much you've earned. So instantly I can see if I worked a 5-hour shift versus a 9-hour shift, what that actually means in monetary terms. So you're reconnecting people with work and reward.
So but then that the ability to kind of access those funds and draw down in real time then has a proven psychological effect in terms of taking on new work, more work.
Yeah, so there's two other things that happen then. There's like incrementality comes up. Yeah. So if, you know, let's say a colleague called in sick on a Wednesday, I could go in and work that shift on a Wednesday, pay myself on a Thursday and take my wife out for dinner on Friday if I wanted. There's that level of, I could work this additional shift and then pay myself straight away. So there's an incrementality element to it. But then the third piece is actually, like, people understand there's a consequence to accessing the wages early. So, you know, we have this where it automatically comes out of your pay at the end of the pay cycle, whether that's weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, it'll automatically come out. So you never get into that cycle of debt. Now, because that is there, if I've accessed 100 euros today and I'm getting paid in a week's time, I know that I'm going to be 100 euros short in my wages. So then I put my hand up and ask for more shifts. So you find people volunteering for more shifts. Now, we see, I think it was the last time I saw it was like 22.1% more hours worked.
Wow.
For staff that are with Wagestream. So you can see the staff working this amount of hours before Wagestream, and then suddenly they're working this amount of hours after it.
But it's working on their terms, right? Which is a key kind of point.
Yeah, and I guess the third key benefit, there's tons of benefits, but the third key benefit is recruitment. You know, and before this all happened, you know, and you know this better than anybody, you know, it was
it's still happening, thankfully, in places, but yeah.
But it was a candidates marketplace.
Yeah.
100%, where people could pick and choose between jobs. You know, I would hear loads of, or go to loads of conferences about flexible working, and hearing these stories of there's 2 job offers there, one offered flexibility, the other one didn't. You know, which one did you? You know, that person went to the flexible option. This is the same here. If you've got 2 jobs that are very similar, you know, all of the package is fairly similar, but one is, well, we pay fixed on a monthly basis, whereas the other one is, well, you can pay yourself whenever you want. It's just a great additional benefit that people go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we talked about the platform earlier, and maybe it would be a good idea if, you know, rather than describe it to people, we could show it. Is that something we can do you think?
Let's see if we can make this work.
The miracle of technology.
So share screen.
Yep, got that.
You see that? Okay,
yeah.
Great. So
the first thing is it's super clean, right, and very user friendly.
Yeah, so it goes in. I should have actually logged out and gone straight in, so you'd see all the nice user experience thing as you come in. But the first element is the tracking page. Now, this is actually the 30th of the month that I was just told. So we've actually been paid, so it shows I've earned nothing and I've got nothing available. But in this one page here, you can actually see what you've earned, what is actually available to you. And there's a history tab here which will show across the days, any given days that you've actually worked, and how that comes in. So every single day it will show a different amount. But on that home page here, it's great for people to be able to access it. We've got another function there that you can actually add in your open banking details, and you could actually see your bank account amount as well. So in one view, you can see what you've got in your account, what you've earned, what you could access, and how much you have. You can see from a month-by-month basis what that looks like as well, so you can compare month by month. If you want to access your wages, as I say, this says you were paid on the 30th of April, so it's showing
more shifts, Adam.
But this wheel would actually show the amount that I have available to me, and I could literally just like pull my finger across the wheel, see that I could access 200 euros. I could click, I want that, and within about 20 seconds, that'll be in my account.
And what's the kind of user interaction with the app? Do you find there's trends? Are people using it pretty much in real time? How does that work?
Yeah, so the tracking function, people use it about twice a day. They kind of check it in the morning and then check it in the evening. There's a sense of satisfaction of seeing your money go up.
Yeah.
You know, the actual users of the streaming function of accessing the wages, people generally only use it about once or twice a month.
Yeah.
You know, they're only using it if they need to, because
makes sense.
There's no interest charged on this, but there is a flat fee of €1.75 for accessing your wages early. So if you had money in your account, you wouldn't use your earned wages and pay €1.75 for it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've got your own money in your account. So
yeah.
There's that element. The third element is sort of the education side. So we've teamed up with MABS to access, to give independent financial education. So MABS.
This is an important piece, right, for the business. I mean, it you know, accessing wages, of course, is the what, but you know, the why is about, you know, improving people's education and their ability to manage their finances and reduce that financial pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I like to call it prevention and cure. You know, we try to be a full 360-degree financial wellbeing tool. So the prevention is education and, you know, getting people to budget better, you know, get them into saving. All of this elements, you know, is the prevention, and then the cure is the kind of the streaming element. You know, that if you know you're in that position where you're about to go into credit card debt, or the worst case scenario, getting a provident loan, you know, at ridiculous like 286% interest. You know, to access.
And so do people, you know, from the insights and data that you get on the back end, are people, you know, accessing and making the most of this archive in terms of education?
We're definitely pushing to try and get people to use it more. So we're actually starting, we can actually tailor this advice to you based on your usage or non-usage of the app. So I'll give you a perfect example. If I streamed wages 5 times in the month, but you, David, you didn't access your wages at all in the month, like we send a monthly newsletter, but we also have a little tab where it'll show up different articles, and we'd show me budgeting advice, you know, how to budget better in the month, whereas we'd show you maybe savings advice, why it pays to have a pension, because you haven't accessed your wages early. So we can tailor that to you.
Okay, and you mentioned like data is a big component of the platform, of the service. Do you find that, you know, the users, just by having everything in this platform, having that kind of real-time access and analysis, that they are using the insights to make better judgment calls in the future?
Yeah, so we're very data led. We've actually got a data team there. We actually go out and, like, customer insights, going out and interview people. So we actually hear firsthand that people feel that they can budget better for a start. So that one viewpoint where they can see the bank account, what they've earned in the month, is very important to people. So that element is very important. But then we're now moving into the next iteration of what we do is kind of like with the open banking APIs, we'll be able to see, you know, you're about to go into your overdraft and incur fees, or let's say, you know, Bank of Ireland have a great way of charging you €12.70, you know, if you bounce on a direct debit. So if my Vodafone bill was going to come out tomorrow and I hadn't been paid yet, and it's showing I'm going to bounce that, we'll then be able to send a notification to that employee saying, look, you've got €350 in your Wagestream account that you could access. If you don't put it in, you're going to get charged €12.70. Do you want to draw down some of your wages now to avoid that?
Good.
So that's where we'll kind of get to.
What's the roadmap kind of for that, do you think, in terms of Ireland?
It shouldn't be too. They're working on it at the moment. So we've kind of gone down with a basic version at the moment where you can set payment reminders. So let's say you know that your bills are going to come out, you can just manually set them up and it'll send you a reminder. But that element of it, it's not far off. I guess COVID land has paused a lot of that stuff. Like, the one thing that I will say, you know, the reaction that Wagestream as a business had to this crisis is just incredible. Like within 2 days of kind of the measures being put in place, we had a kind of Dragon's Den style pitch where the whole business had to bring ideas on how we could help employees and businesses through this. We came up with like 3 ideas. The first one was ready in 48 hours. The rest of them were available within the week. So we found out a way that we could actually pay people their illness benefit on a daily basis automatically. So if you had to self-isolate, you know, to encourage people to self-isolate so they wouldn't come in,
that's great.
we could pay you automatic daily payments of your illness benefit. Then when the whole furlough thing or temporary wage subsidy scheme came about, then we figured out a way that we could give employees access to a portion of their accrued, you know, wage subsidies or furlough pay. And we released that very, very quickly.
I think that's really important, right? I mean, with everything that's going on, the last thing anyone needs is additional financial pressure. If there's any way to alleviate that at all, it can only be a good thing.
Well, you know, there's no getting it. Every single household has been negatively affected financially. So financial stress, you know, you read it in the papers, you know, it's like one of these non-shocker headlines going, oh, you know, studies say that everybody's more, you know, stressed about their finances. Well, you know, of course they are. You know, most partners, most households will have one partner that might be out of work or might be on furlough, whatever it may be, or they might have had their hours cut or the wages cut. You know, everybody's on tenterhooks on whether they're still going to be employed, how long it's going to go on for. So, you know, financial stress is there, and unfortunately, a lot of the bills haven't gone away. Although the mortgages, you know, you can get a payment holiday, but not every landlord is giving rent holidays to staff, to their tenants. So it's, you know, financial stress is still there.
Good. So just, I guess, in terms of closing it up, you don't have a customer profile, right? Any business can avail of this, or, you know, it doesn't have to be a 3,000 person, you know, operation. It can be a medium enterprise as well, can it?
So we generally go for 250 staff and above. Like in Ireland, we probably have really, you know, relaxed that a little bit to maybe 100, 150 staff. Generally because, and it's just almost like it's a slight credit risk for us. We essentially give the business an interest-free loan every month, because if you access your wages early, Wagestream fronts all that money. But our risk is that the business doesn't make payroll. So that risk is alleviated. Well, it's lowered the bigger the business, because they're less likely to just close up shop, overnight.
So if there's anyone listening who wants to reach out and talk to you about this, or anyone wants to go and nag their boss to get them to go and talk to you about it, I'll post the details in the comment section. But they should just reach out to you directly and open discussions.
It's Adam Hankin. I'm on LinkedIn most days. Adam@wagestream.ie. Give us a shout. Even if it's just to talk about financial well-being in general.
Great.
But there's plenty of stuff that we can help you with.
Well, look, thanks so much for that. Like I said, I always really interested to hear and talk to people who are, trying to make an impact. Businesses exist to make money. That's brilliant. But if you can do that while doing some good work as well, it's really rewarding. So look, thanks for everything that you're doing, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining us today. We're really working hard to keep the content coming through to you, just to kind of give people a bit of a break and a release. So keep looking at the channel, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks.